All right, how you guys doing?
Hello.
You still hanging in there? We're almost to the end of day 2 of the conference, so
Kevin just drank an energy drink, and then they put us in these nice, comfortable chairs that are counteracting
so
it.
if I might fall asleep or I might get up and run around the room. It just depends on when that energy drink kicks in. And we were just talking that Chris's picture looks like he's been halfway through a conference up there. A little dazed and confused, but this is a live podcast taping, and so your part in this is after the theme music. We need some energy, so it sounds like a live podcast. And are we ready? I think we're ready. We're going to be talking about how to power up your music videos.
Basically, what you're saying is that I'll be the applause meter, and then we need some cheering.
All right, here we go.
You're listening
to the CD Baby.
CD Baby.
CD Baby.
DIY Musician Podcast.
Hey there, and welcome to a live edition of the CD Baby DIY Musician Podcast. My name is Kevin Bruner, and joining me is Chris Robley.
Hello.
Chris, how you doing?
Good. We had live applause.
You know what?
Yes, thank you.
Real people, in person. I actually get to see Chris too.
Normally we don't see each other.
Yeah, and you know what? Those of you, how many of you have been to one of these in the past, live tapings, where we have the theme music that seems to go on for an eternity and gets a little awkward? That was the perfect length, I think. That worked well. Super excited to be here in Austin. Super excited to be here with all of you. Any comments about the conference so far before we dive into our topic, Chris?
I just want to say I went to Matt Mayer's presentation. I cried 3 times. Whew. I hope we can. Hopefully, we'll run that one down the podcast feed at some point. That was really good.
All of you see Kara and Ross's presentation? That was amazing. That was amazing. Backstage, Kara said I looked like Kevin Bacon from Footloose. I don't know. She said it was a compliment. So I've been processing that all day. I'm a little tired. I didn't know what to think of it.
You haven't done any dancing yet.
Not today, no, but maybe later. We'll see. All right. So today we're going to be talking about video. And the thing about video is it's always something that we thought about with music, but it's becoming increasingly more important, not only with social platforms, but even the streaming platforms are going to start allowing for more video, and maybe someday down the future might require video as a part of releases. So we want to talk about that. And to start off, the industry and even us as artists have been trained for many years about what video is as it relates to music. And even if, video is not, when we're talking about video now, it is not MTV or VH1. And those of you, some of you or most of you are probably thinking MTV has music videos? I've never heard of this. Yes, MTV actually stood for music television, and they used to play videos. And that's how people used to enjoy video. But that really set the stage for how the industry thought of video, and that it was this big budget production that cost a lot of money and time and effort, and you ended up with one thing. And what we're talking about video now, we're really talking about not just video of stuff that you as an artist are in or any concepts, but it could be just visuals that go along with your music. So the first thing I want to say is don't spend a fortune on an official music video. There's nothing wrong with an official music video, but that's how we've been I've trained over the years. Many artists will still come to me and say, I've got $10,000 I'm spending on a music video. I'm like, you're spending $10,000 on a music video? Don't end up with one video that only has a short life. You can use that money for so much better things that will advance your music career. And Chris, you're gonna
have a rant.
Why? Can you see the?
I can see the screen, so
okay.
I'll be good. But yeah, you said there's nothing wrong with music video, and I would caveat that by saying
official music video.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that if you have a rabid fan base that's waiting for that kind of very slick official production, and if you have the budget for it. But we're at the DIY conference, so who has budget for all this stuff? So here's my problem with traditional music videos and why they will underperform when you spend a whole lot of time to make them. They're too long. No one has patience for anything. They're too scripted. They seem very inauthentic sometimes because you can tell well, there's an actor, there's a set. This doesn't feel like what I'm used to seeing on social. They're too polished. They might look like advertisements. And then, we're getting very good at immediately scrolling past and tuning that stuff out. They're too slow. Please, no long shots at the beginning with like a
Dramatic
a sunrise, like the title of the video, your artist's name. I don't care. I don't know you. So all of that stuff is wasting the viewer's time. Again, they're too expensive. A lot of times it can cost $500 or $5,000 or $50,000. Who's got that money? When something that you could make in 2 minutes on your iPhone will often do better anyways. And then the last thing is that not only are we on a monetary budget, but we have scarce time because we're wearing lots of hats. Sometimes we have day jobs. So it just takes way too long to make an official video.
Yeah, so rethinking what we think about video, like I said, it's not just about necessarily imagery of you as an artist. That's all a part of it. But the idea that every song should have a visual component. We'll talk more about that in a bit. And also the idea of video, it's not video that even you have to create. You can equip your fans to create video and do those visuals and do some cool stuff that engage them to get them involved. User-generated content is often really key to explosive growth. You see that on TikTok a lot, but even on YouTube, that's been something that's really driven a lot of activity. It's oftentimes not the artist's original post, but the fans that are making videos on their behalf. So think about how can I incentivize fans to do that more for your music. Cover song videos are a big cornerstone for music discovery, especially on YouTube. But we have at CD Baby just an enormous amount of artists that's their whole deal, is like the day Beyonce drops a new track, they're gonna have their unique version of that song available on YouTube, and some of those artists just get millions and millions of views. Live streaming and social, the weird thing is and we've definitely seen it these past couple of years, it's like now being a musician requires being good on camera. So parking a webcam and just sitting there ignoring it in the corner, playing your instrument and live streaming that is not a good live stream. And the idea that learning the skills to look at a camera, talk to the camera, and interact with it, that's something that's relatively new for a lot of people when they think about making music videos or live streaming especially. And the other thing with video ads way outperform other advertising you might do. So if you're somebody that's boosting content on Facebook or Instagram, and you were just trying some on Reels recently, weren't you? Boosting some Reels?
Yep.
Those things, video's gonna outperform anything else, but you gotta do it properly, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So Chris, you're gonna give us a list.
Yes, 10 types of videos you should be making. Not all at once, but a nice mix of these will be good. Okay, fine, you can make an official video. If you really have that artistic need and a statement, I have made them. I keep making them because I don't take my own advice. Sometimes we just want to do something. Like you shouldn't be making double albums anymore, but if that's your heart desire, do it.
I was just saying, you've got like 5, 6, 7 albums waiting to be released.
Right. Another thing is song snippets. So you don't have to make an entire video. 15 seconds is fine. If you have a cool visual hook or some visual to pair with just a tiny snippet of your song, that is totally fine. Visualizations, that's just sort of slowly moving graphics that can be auto-generated for you. You don't have to spend a bunch of design resources on this. That can make for good YouTube content for your existing fans. Lyric or karaoke videos, these don't generally perform well at all if you're using them to like reach strangers, because again, they don't know you well enough. But for your existing fans, they will love to read the lyrics. And if they really love you, they'll love the karaoke version to sing along. Art tracks, and this is something CD Baby takes care of for you. It's basically just kind of the static image of your cover artwork that ends up on YouTube. If you want to make them on your own and add some extra fancy elements, Rotor Videos makes that very easy. If you've got design skills, you can do it on your own. And there's kind of a benefit to putting that on YouTube as well, onto your own channel, because you can use the video description and kind of all the channel features however you want for those. Canvas, it was something we'll talk about in a sec, but they're the short looping vertical videos on Spotify, which boost tons of Spotify engagement metrics. So you should definitely have a canvas for every single song you have on Spotify. What else we got? Short form, you know, that's TikTok and Reels. But it doesn't always have to be about your music. If you're a really good cook, or you know a bunch of weird stuff about history, or whatever your fascination is, I think it's great to post that stuff too, because it humanizes you, it makes you three-dimensional. And when you show that you are three-dimensional in that way, you're kind of like really helping target that niche audience of people who also like your genre, but weird things about history. So that can be great. Cover songs, as Kevin mentioned. We did a whole episode trying to convince people to do cover songs, because we hear all the time, oh, I'm an artist. I'm a genius songwriter. Well, cool. Be a genius songwriter and cover some songs too. Because
hey, the Beatles, I looked it up once. The Beatles, it was like 50 some cover songs that they've released. And I knew they'd done a bunch, but it's a big number.
And like 6 of the 8 hours of that Get Back movie were them just doing covers. So
yeah,
they
turned out okay.
What's that? Oh, yeah. So for anyone listening at home, Prince did covers. So if Prince can do covers, anyone can do covers. One thing about covers to remember is, similar to the short form thing and the song snippet concept, you actually don't even have to do a whole cover song video. If you're like learning a cover and all you know is the chorus, shoot 15 seconds of it, put it on TikTok. Like, you can get away with that sort of stuff these days. What else? Oh, live video is different from live stream. Like, you at a venue or at a house concert is really crucial for you getting gigs, because more important than how many Spotify followers you have to the talent buyer is, do people at the venue stay at the venue once you start playing? So if you can show a crowd enjoying your show, that is crucial for booking. And the quality, in quotes, of that sort of live video is only important to the extent that the booker can get the information they need. Are you in key? You know, can you tune your guitar? Are the people enjoying it? It doesn't have to be super high production. It can be a single camera. And what's last? Behind the scenes stuff. Again, this stuff works mostly for your existing fans, but I think can really add the three-dimensionality to the mix. And I just had one thing I wanted to say about the previous slide, when you're saying user-generated content and fan videos. That's great, but one additional element is you can be making content for the purposes of total strangers interacting with it. And I think Rick Barker had a great idea for Carnage yesterday when he said, Carnage, just do your beatboxing thing on TikTok and then say, hey, duet this. And now he's not necessarily reaching his fans. He's reaching anyone on TikTok who might discover him through the algorithm and then want to add some vocals or whatever. So it doesn't always have to be your existing audience that you're reaching in that way.
Yeah, and looking at this list, it could be really overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff on here. And to me, I think the important thing first is just to get more in the mindset of capturing video, because I know editing it and for certain purposes can be a pain, especially if you're doing it yourself. There's a lot of great apps out there that simplify it. Adobe Rush, I think, is a good one. It's a very stripped down version of Adobe Premiere, which is like, you know, their professional video editing software. I like Adobe Rush because it has more features than the iMovie app on an iPhone, but it allows you to, like, you could cut a couple different tracks of video together really quickly. It's meant to export for social real easily. So to me, that's been a real speed up on the workflow with this stuff's time consuming. Yeah. But I'm the guy in the band that shows up whenever my band's doing anything. When I show up on the scene, I see a collective eye roll. I have like a tiny bag for my clothes and the giant suitcase. Okay, here's the 3 tripods. Here's I just try to capture as much content as I can and just think about, hey, how might I use this later on? I don't have to even have a thing in mind right now, because sometimes the magic happens when you least expect it. And so sometimes it's just good to have some videos running. I was with them recently having just a week of songwriting, and I just had some cameras up, and most of it's probably boring garbage that no one will ever see. But sometimes when there's that interesting behind the scenes creative magic moment, or this tension where we're getting irritated with each other, and it's like, that's the stuff people want to see, the real dynamic behind the creative process. So to me, I just try and think about, how can I simplify the process of just always capturing it? If I don't use it, that's fine, but I know that I'm getting good variety, because oftentimes, like with a lot of these short form videos, or some of the examples we'll show later on, it's just stuff that I had, and I'm like, oh, I think I've got something that'll fit here, and I go back through the archives and and find that little snippet that works.
And if you ever want your collaborators to really hate you, when you're in the recording studio and you finally get the take and you're like, okay, we're making progress, halt the progress and tell your band and the engineer and the producer, okay, now someone walk around with a camera and we're going to fake it and listen back to what we recorded, sort of, actually play, but sort of lip sync or whatever to the song you just recorded, because later it'll be great when the song is out, but they will hate you. They'll think this is all,
We
marketing
actually
bullshit.
did that exact thing in one of our videos.
Did they all roll their eyes?
No,
Oh,
because
well.
I prepped them. I've learned to prep them. Yeah, and I always also when you're dealing with bands, sometimes you need to encourage people not to look like a total slob, because the cameras might be running, but it's if you're just trying to manage that expectations that you're going to be on camera, or so wear something that you would want to be seen. You don't have to be dressed up necessarily in what you might wear on stage, but so I've learned how to prep the guys. Yeah, it took me a while, but I got there.
That's only took you 25 years.
Yeah, that's all it takes. So we talked some about Canvas. How many of you have actually have Canvas videos on some of your tracks in Spotify? If you're not familiar with what that is, you've probably seen them. If you have Spotify and a song's playing, it doesn't necessarily happen for every song, but there'll be like a looping video. It can be 3 to 8 seconds long. And according to Spotify, those videos increase track shares considerably. They increase playlist ads and streams, and basically, really, it just overall, those are just like fan interaction and engagement that seems to go up because of those.
Yeah, 2 things to know about Canvas. You can upload them before your release date. So as soon as your track is showing up in the upcoming tab or whatever it's called in Spotify for Artists, you can add a video. You totally should do it so it's ready to go on the release day. And then you can change them as often as you like for an individual track. So if you have like a story that's unfolding, you can change every week. I know people, I won't name them because I don't think they're supposed to do this, but they've even put their SMS subscribe number as their Spotify Canvas, and it did very well for them.
Yeah, there's certain things you can't put on there, but I'm surprised that you can put some messaging on there. They allow, so check it out. It's an opportunity for you to engage with your fans. And if they're driving their car and they've got their phone on the dashboard, they're going to be seeing that loop while your song's playing. Yeah, you just go to Spotify for Artists and you go to that track. When you list the list of all your songs, you go to that track and there's a place to upload it. And yeah, I think not only is it important for Spotify, but my guess is that this is going to start becoming more and more standard across more of the digital platforms, where to the point it might eventually be required. And did we mention Rotor? Because Rotor,
Not yet.
Rotor Video is a partner company of ours. Rotor Video is super great website. Highly recommend. I think, I got the link on the screen. rotorvideos.com/cdbaby. We have it's a super easy way to make these Canva videos. You can make all sorts of videos in Rotor, but they have a specific tool and some pre-made things. So even if you don't have visuals, they have some, and
they have more than some. They have a library of millions of videos.
Yes. So it's super easy, and there's no excuses to at least try it. Try it. All right, Chris, you mentioned the 3-second rule.
Yeah, if you don't grab someone in the first 3 seconds, there's no point in making the entire rest of the video, because they're scrolling, they're not there for you. You have to arrest them so much that they unmute the video if it's on a platform that's just defaulted to muted. So something has to happen that's fast, wacky, plants a seed of curiosity or suspense, like, can they pull this off? Where am I? What the hell? Any of that kind of stuff you can squeeze into the first few moments of your video is really crucial.
And that's really geared towards on social media specifically, because one of the examples I have coming up that my band did would totally probably not follow that rule, but really with social, a lot of times people are scrolling and the video starts playing and it's a matter of getting them to stop. If nothing interesting is happening, they're just going to move on by. They may not even turn the audio on. So I don't think we had that tip on there, but even subtitles are great because people are scrolling, and a lot of times they're maybe in a situation where they can't turn the audio on, or they just don't. That the subtitles can even engage them. But I was listening to Brendan Kane, I believe his name. He's a marketing guru guy, and he says, if you don't capture their intention in 3 seconds, there's no point in making the rest of the video. So it's like, what's the point of spending that massive budget that we talked about on that big official video that has this long dramatic intro? They're not making it for the others, so you just flushed all that money down the toilet. So thinking about how can you grab people's attention, that doesn't mean you have to just do parlor tricks or goofy stuff.
Stupid stunts like the video that we'll show you in a sec.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of thinking more intentionally with what's happening on screen, and that video is not this big 4-minute art piece. It can be. It can be. I'm not saying that never do that, but the idea of like thinking more intentionally about what you're really wanting that video to accomplish and making sure that that's what's actually happening on the screen. All right, we've got some examples. We got an example from something Chris made, and then a video my band made. Oh, and these have audio. Just giving you a heads up that these have audio.
Should I prompt
yes,
this?
You should. Yeah, you should give us a.
So, yeah, people at home. This is a video I made where my face is covered in whipped cream. My daughter is making a strange face. So this was an idea I had to let my daughter direct a music video, and I knew no matter what we created, the caption was going to be the caption of that went along with the video on Facebook and Instagram would be, "This is what happens when you let an 8-year-old direct a music video." And I knew it had to have something crazy in the first 3 seconds. So she and I kind of, she plotted her revenge basically. And we had this toy that it's like, what do you call it? Russian roulette or whatever.
I forget what is that game called? It was like super popular.
I think it's
for like
called
a
Cream
month.
Face actually.
Yeah. Then you realize there's no objective to the game. You're just getting whipped cream on your face. So why are we playing this game?
And so she really thought that would be a great way to start this video. And then I thought, well, if I make a very quick motion, like instantaneously, hopefully that'll grab people's eye and they'll say, what is going on? And they'll unmute. So that was kind of the beginning concept here.
We're going to watch a little of this and listen through some of it.
There's a bird who fishes with a rope. Turn around, little bird throat. Catches everything he can, brings it to the man, standing on this little wooden boat. It's by habit I'm still waking up at 4. That's when I got used to Linda coming through the door. I eat up something from the fridge, talk about the bills and kids, trade the keys, and then I'd drive out to the shore. Well, Daddy said a real man provides, that the pressure and the purpose is his biggest point of pride. But the people we work for are paying less and giving more, so I can't afford a funeral for my bride. There's a bird who fishes with a rope, tied around its little bird throat. Catches everything it can and brings it to the man standing on this little wooden boat.
All right. Great song, Chris.
It's silly. It looks like crap. It did really well for me on Facebook. I ran it as an ad. It got tons of views and drove a ton of traffic to this kind of album, what you call it, sort of a lead capture thing that I was trying to do. So people stopped. So it took us
what was
probably
your
2 hours.
What was your budget on that video?
0.
Well, you bought the whipped cream, or did you just have it
Oh
lying
yeah,
around?
so okay, $6. So it's the budget. We already had the toy, so the editing was kind of the complicated thing. I did that myself. Again, it looks like crap, so I just leaned into it looking like crap.
But you also were doing something in that video. I only advanced it because if I.
Yeah.
But
actually, my camera ran out. You know when you run out of space on your phone. So I think the last like 30 seconds we had to. But yeah, mostly one take. Yeah.
But you did something in that video that we have on a slide that's coming up where you were putting like tidbits on screen that engage them a little bit more, like fun facts.
Yeah.
There's fun facts and things that
Depressing facts.
Yeah. What's that?
Depressing facts.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Some of them aren't fun. Yeah, great video. If you haven't seen, Chris has a lot of great videos like that. Like one of the ones that I loved that he made is, you must have a lot of free time because you learned how to sing a song backwards. Learned how to sing one of his songs backwards and videoed him singing it with the music going. The music was going backwards.
Going backwards while he's.
And he was falling into a pool, but the video was going the right way, and it looks like he's singing the song the correct way as he comes out of the water over. It's really, really good video. So
Thanks.
Yeah. Check out his videos. There's a lot there. This video that I did of my band, this one probably breaks a few of the rules that I just mentioned earlier. But the point I wanted to demonstrate was just thinking more intentional about video and where your opportunities might be to grab some that's happening or exists. We were playing a big festival up in Michigan last summer. And there's a big stage where they have the big screens on either side, and they had cameras filming to put up there. And I just thought, oh, I bet they'll give me that video of us. And so I have the whole video, the whole set, that video feed that they made. And I thought, oh, cool, I've got this video I didn't expect I'd have. It's of our set. I can use this. And then I went to Rotor, and using their tools, turned it into a music video. What I was trying to do is, I thought, this is kind of a lyric video. It's not really an official music video. It kind of serves that purpose, but I just wanted something on there that would engage people a little bit more and have more than the purpose of just like, hey, you're just supposed to sit here and watch us play this song. So I'll play it for you, a little bit of it, and you can see I had to do some trickery with the editing because the camera people, I only got one feed and it was multi-cam, but I only had the cut feed that they had provided that was on the screen, and sometimes the camera wasn't pointing where it should be, so I did a little trickery in the editing to fix all that, but this is our song, Believe Me.
Step out into the open and say your name. The light of declaration, the death of blame. Leave the phony photographs, familiar lies. Reclaim your genesis, redeem the time. You are already here, made of wonder and fear. Put your hand in the air and take your chances. If it's a matter of doubt, and if you want a way out, try surrendering now. And just believe me, just believe me, just believe me, just believe me. Present tense with someone who knows.
I'll stop it there. So with that, oh, thank you. So all that was done in Rotor and just that one video feed that I got. And so a lot of times I think as artists, just thinking intentionally like, hey, someone's got cameras running. Let me just ask them if I can get that. And sometimes I had to keep they're like, oh yeah, we'll get it to you. And I'll send you a link tomorrow. That link didn't come. I'm like, I need that link. And and it took me a couple weeks to get it, but the idea that made a great looking music video out of it, and I didn't have to pay for the cameras to shoot it, and it was on a big stage, and then there was no shots of the crowd, so those crowd shots that are in there were out of Rotor, so I just threw those in there, and
It's like
it looks
a massive concert.
Yeah, and so also for me, the idea was also that using that video when talking to bookers, that if they want to see any video of us performing that's more recent, I could send them that, and it looks really good and professional, and it's on a big stage and all that. So moving on, the next thing I think that's really important, probably one of the big takeaways I hope you have is that you don't have to have just one video per song. It's not like, oh, I made a video, that's it. That song can never have any other visuals for it because that one day I locked it all in. That you should test multiple versions, and you can make lots and lots of variations of a video. This was one thing I did using Rotor again for our band is we had a song called For the Ones Who Run. It's kind of a upbeat rock song. And I was trying to test and see if it would appeal to different audiences on social media, especially with some advertising. And so all of this is just stock footage inside of Rotor. So I thought the first one, the song's called For the Ones Who Run, and they had this weird footage inside of Rotor of these young, like hipster teens just running for some reason. They're all just running around the streets, and I think it's Belfast. That's where they're from. And so I just made it, and I'm like, oh, maybe the visuals will appeal to a younger demographic. The second one, I was just kind of going for that weird thing that we were talking about, like it's a demolition derby. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, and maybe people scrolling be like, what is this about? And they might stop and look. And then the last one, I went with more like a road trip motif, and I just tested them out to see how they would perform, and ran ads with them. I think the demolition derby one won out. I can't remember, but the idea was that you can have a song have multiple visuals that might be trying to appeal to a very specific audience, and that's okay. That's what we should be doing. That's why we don't want to spend one giant music video budget on a video that's our artistic expression only to find that nobody wants to look at it. You know, that's a real bummer. And so trying things that might appeal to an audience, that some visuals they may like, instead of me just thinking, what's my artistic vision for this song?
Just at one point on that. So even if you don't have multiple different video assets and you just have one video, let's say it's a 3.5 minute video, when you use that for, let's say, like a Reels advertisement that might be 15 seconds, you just take that one video and cut 3-4 separate 15-second things, maybe 2 from the chorus, a verse, a bridge, whatever, and run those against each other, and there will usually very quickly be a clear winner. So even if you are stuck with one video, you can still be testing.
Oh yeah, and one thing I forgot to say that's on the slide is that just because it's a music video for your song does not mean you have to start at the beginning of the song. Start with the hook, start with the chorus, start with the thing that's going to grab people, because again, they're watching on social, they're scrolling. If they do unmute and take a listen, you want it to be something that's the catchiest, hookiest part of the song. So these videos, I started with the first chorus, it goes into the second verse, and then the second chorus, and then I think it's out. I don't even have the whole song in there, because the other thing is oftentimes with video is a lot of times people are taking a little peek on a little downtime at work, you know, every once in a while.
On the toilet.
I hear people might watch a video while they should be working. I've never done it, but I hear people do. And if they're doing that, the thing is, for me, I see how long the video is, and I go, oh, it's a 10-minute video. I don't have time for that. Oh, it's a 1.5-minute video. Okay, I'll take a little video break and push play. So there's some strategy around that as well, that you don't want to drop this gigantic long video because people don't have a lot of time necessarily when they're doing this. So thinking about economizing in that sense. All right, we can't do a thing without about video without talking about TikTok. Chris, you actually have a fantastic session tomorrow. You got to go see Chris's session about TikTok tomorrow. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm interviewing a guy named Jeremy, who's one of the 4 singers in this group called Winborn. And I really wanted to talk to him, of all the people I know who have done cool things on TikTok, because his group like exemplifies what you would not expect to perform well on TikTok. You think, oh, dance, pop, EDM, hip hop, whatever, like very kind of new trendy stuff. His group makes like Corsican vocal music from hundreds of years ago and labor songs of like the 19 teens and 20s. So, you know, very niche, and they are doing super well. They're getting tons of people out to their shows from TikTok. So anyways, come to that tomorrow, but we'll touch on some of the things he'll probably talk more in detail about.
Yeah, we're not going to spend a ton of time on TikTok specifically. We got some short form video tricks that apply to all the short form formats. But the one thing that I wanted to highlight is I was on a panel at a conference recently with someone from TikTok. And one thing that's very different about TikTok than how all the social platforms have typically worked to this point is the algorithm is completely different. There's that word, algorithm. But a lot of the platforms like Instagram, if you posted 20 times a day on Instagram, not necessarily on stories, but like Instagram or Facebook, chances are the algorithm is going to start suppressing your content because like too much, too high velocity, you're probably spamming everybody, there's no interaction. TikTok is very different in that this person from TikTok said that it's looking for an audience for every video, and it doesn't matter how many videos you've posted. It's just looking at that one particular video. And so she was saying the opposite and mentioned that the artist The Weeknd had a single dropping that month when I was on that panel, and they made, did I put it on the screen? It was like, yeah, 150 different videos that they dropped in the first month for that one song. And these aren't, again, full song videos. They were like just little snippets, different visuals, just all broken up. And if you did that on Facebook, no one's gonna see anything that you're doing. The platform would just suppress all your content. But on TikTok, it's different. So I say that really to say, you can try stuff, and if it doesn't work, doesn't matter. It's not doing anything to your account. However, these things do change over time. So whatever's working now typically changes later on. The one thing I wanted to, these artists, or well, Brittany Kellogg, she's someone that's from Portland, Oregon. What was fascinating is I knew her because she's from our hometown, and started following her on TikTok. She had like 1,000 followers. She does country music. And she was posting on TikTok, not a lot of activity, but then she started doing a very specific thing, and her TikTok started exploding. And it's happening to the same exact thing other artists are doing. And that's this podcast, Switched on Pop. You should check it out. This episode with Ty Verdes really goes into detail about this exact same thing. She's got this song that she wrote, kind of a breakup song for her ex. And so she said, do you ever feel sorry for your ex's new lover? Well, I wrote a song for you. And so what I've seen explode on TikTok is where people say, are you this type of person? I wrote a song for you. And it really, I think a couple things are happening there. One, somebody who's scrolling sees that and go, I identify with that. I'm going to check it out. Also, all these things that we say on video now are being automatically captioned, and that gives data to the platform. And so they have keywords that they now know go with this video and can find an audience for it. But both Brittany, and you really should check out that episode of the podcast, Switch on Pop. Ty, that's exactly what he did. And he wasn't even posting full songs. He was just posting a verse. Of course, like I think in his, he's like, are you someone that suffers from depression? I wrote a song for you. And it's just the verse. And then the next post might be the chorus. And with Brittany, a lot of what she was doing was sitting in her car, and the music is playing with her vocal on it, and she's singing along with it. And that she went from having about 1,000 followers. So I saw her post recently. She just crossed the 900,000 follower mark on TikTok, and this is all she does. She doesn't tour much. She does play shows, but she's in the same boat as a lot of us as far as, you know, she's a little older. She's got family. It's not like she can just go on the road for months and months at a time. So definitely worth checking out.
And Kevin challenged me to make my own version of this type of video like
I
4
can't
months
motivate
ago,
him.
and I still haven't done it.
I said, Chris, this is it. You're going to be famous. Just start doing this. You've got all those introspective, folky songs.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me.
So let's run down these short form video tricks so we can get some questions. You want to hit this list?
Yeah, so again, Jeremy will go into way more depth on a lot of this stuff tomorrow, but his whole thing is trying to drive repeat views. So one way to do it is have something that really important flash on screen quickly. And then if they want to fully grasp what it is, they got to watch again. So that could be that it literally flashes on and off, so they have to watch again to see it. Or maybe there's just a smattering of text, and it's like lyrics here, a little caption here, the history of the song here. It's just, it looks like a nightmare, but that's what we like these days, apparently. So
TikTok does look like a nightmare.
yeah, so you go, you loop it a few times to read it through every time. So that's another thing he does, including lyrics and other content about the song, the people, the history, any of that. You can also do this weird thing, which you probably have noticed on TikTok, where the last moment of maybe the melody or the word gets cut off in this really awkward way. And he has a whole theory. I think he'll talk about why that works, but it just gives it that casual vibe. And there's sort of like a, what? Oh, let me watch again. So you can kind of close the loop on it in a way. Another thing to do is if you can visually pull off a seamless loop where the person almost doesn't know the video's repeating, or they do, but it's just so impressive they want to see how you did it. That's another thing.
I fall into that one so many times where I'm like sitting there. I've been sitting here for 5 minutes. I keep waiting for that person. I'm like, oh, this thing's been looping for 2 minutes. What am I doing?
Yeah, he's really big on using captions, not just like Kevin basically just said this, but not just to address the audience, but to feed information to TikTok about who the audience is. And oh, you covered that one. Quickly say who the video is for so the person knows, yes, I should listen to this.
Yeah. And a lot of these are super easy to try. And, you know, TikTok and Reels, and now YouTube has their YouTube Shorts. They're all very different. So it's like if you've always been focused on video, like we started with that official music video, the world of TikTok does and Reels feels like a nightmare. If like you're thinking videos should be this pure form, it's like, but really it's just visual communication. And so that's why I was saying at the beginning that video is really about visual communication, adding that visual component. There's a wide spectrum of what video really means, and you can be engaging in all of it. Some of it will work for your fans, some of it won't. Some of you, maybe your fans aren't on TikTok watching short form videos. Maybe they are. Or maybe there's an audience waiting for you there. You just need to try something. Others, you might be known. Like we had Glasses, your friend, what's his name? Gil on the podcast a handful of episodes ago. And his whole thing was this interesting visual of him playing a song and the MIDI notes on screen create an image. And it's sort of this interesting thing that I think would capture the attention of a lot of people that aren't necessarily into music or may not have been looking for an interesting music video. But, you know, I get those videos all the time where it's like, they're building something like, well, now I got to watch this thing, Bill, because I just won't be able to go on with my day if I don't see how this fully plays out here. And that's it. So there's those kind of fun visuals that you can do. So yeah, just get creative. And to me, the best thing is just try stuff. If nobody sees it, nobody cares. So it doesn't matter that nobody saw it. Try something else. So just don't feel like everything is so precious that it has to be perfect before you get it up and post online. All right. I think we've got
back to my skeptical face.
Yeah. I hope that's not how everyone's feeling after listening to us talk. Like, these guys, they don't know what they're talking about. Any questions? Jeremy, thank you for being here.
You bet. It's great to be back after 3 years. So I've done a number of videos both for Space Moose and for myself using public domain video. So I go out, there's all kinds of sites for it, and there's tons of really fascinating stuff out there. You can use, cut it up with iPhone video or anything you've got, like you did with your concert video, interspersed with it, and it just creates really interesting images that may or may not fit what you're doing, but you can play with it and it's totally free and available, and I've just found that's really helpful.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
I've made some videos like that. Did you ever visit the Prelinger archives?
Prelinger, yeah.
Yeah, that's really great.
I found a great video for the first Space Moose song, Hey, where it was this guy who was doing this really interesting dance from India, but it was filmed in like the 30s. So it just had no point of reference to anything we would know now. And we got so many hits on that video that people, writing me and going, what is that? Who is it? I go, I have no idea. I just found it out there, but it was really interesting. So.
Yeah, it's a great tip. As somebody who used to work with us at CD Baby, he has this fascination with found video. So like he'll go to Goodwill, and people have given Goodwill their VH tapes of their vacation from 1970s. Yeah. And he actually, was it Christina's video? Yeah, he made a video for Christina, and it's these old ladies in bathing suits swimming, and you're like, what am I even looking at? I mean, it's not risque at all. It's just weird, and it has that old video. I'm like, this is odd.
And the song is called Fountain of Youth. That's why.
Yes.
There's also a lot of stuff out there that's like experimental video that it's like nothing you've ever seen before that can be really interesting too. So just wanted to point that out there. It's a vast archive of stuff to pull from. Well, Prelinger, I think is how you pronounce it, is one you can Google that and it'll take you right to that site. But if you just put in public domain video, which is how I started, there's a whole list of stuff, and you can go in and check it out, and there's like thousands of videos.
And I think that archive is part of the National Archives.
Yeah, it's from the National Archives. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, thanks. Thanks for all you
sharing
guys
that.
Just real quick, Christina and I are going to do a talk tomorrow, 50 promo ideas in 50 minutes. And one of the examples, I'll show you that exact found footage video. If you're curious.
Spoiler alert, I shouldn't have said that. Nico.
Yes, hi guys. It's so good to be here with you. Kevin, I was wondering about the video that you showed. That was, I'm assuming, the studio audio?
Yes, that was not the live audio.
And so I was just wondering, like, what went into your decision to do that? Like, I'm thinking about that type of video for a booker. Like, wouldn't they prefer like audio from the board? I was just wondering, you're thinking about that.
But the reason I didn't, I can't remember. It was either there was no audio with it, because it was. I think that was the case. Actually, no, it was there. It just sounded terrible. No one was mixing it for that feed.
Right.
So it was just what I got off the board. And my take with that, yes, I would want to give a book or something that might have some live stuff as well. But for me, it was like the idea of, it gives the impression, not even just club bookers, but even with your fans, that sometimes, there's a few parlor tricks we do to tell a story that looks bigger than maybe it is, or just understanding, some psychology behind what people perceive when they see something. Like, after I pointed it out that audience is not the audience that's there, it's pretty obvious when you see the video, because they're actually at a concert inside at night. But the average fan that watches it probably just thinks that was the audience who was watching us. So to me, it's more about like showing that we are playing on a big stage. We have been in professional environments. We know how to handle ourselves. We put on a professional show. So that was really when I thought about, I'd show a club booker this, was that reasoning. If they wanted to hear something live, we actually have a whole live album I could give them. So that's different.
Cool. I had just a follow-up question. I was wondering if you guys purposely, because it was synced pretty nicely. So I thought that was like a pretty good trick. Like, you must have played it exactly on the metronome speed that your studio audio is. So did you do that on purpose, or did it just happen and it was lucky?
We do play to a click live. However, I can't remember that song. Usually when we're playing live, we play a few beats faster per minute. Otherwise, they usually feel really slow. And when you've got all that amped up energy. So I know actually we must have done that one to the beat, because I do remember I just sliced and kept moving, then slicing, and then would find it, because the video obviously I didn't have any time code or anything to match to, but yeah, it was pretty easy. I get a little bit, probably obsess over it a little bit too much, but the nice thing is that it was real easy in Rotor to just add those. A lot of the times where there was something other than us on the screen is because, like, there was one time where the camera during the intro of the song, our lead singer standing there drinking from his water bottle, and I'm like, why do they have that on the big screen? That's when there's the intro of the song going. And I couldn't control the placement of the camera, like the side of the keyboard, and so I would try and cut to that quickly, just to So there was some limitations and some tricks I had to do to make it feel more, but ultimately I was like, man, that turned out great for what I had to work with. And just think artists have a lot of those opportunities, especially now. So many venues have cameras, and even if they don't have it on, just, hey, can we turn that camera on? Does it record somewhere? Can I get a copy of that? And you can use a lot of it, get a lot of footage from different shows, and make something interesting.
Cool, thank you.
I think we've got time for one more. And yes.
All right, no pressure. I just wanted to first thank you guys for your live streams during the pandemic. Like, you talked at the beginning of this thing, that got me through. It wasn't my darkest moment, but that was something I so looked forward to every week, and that helped get me through the pandemic and led me to the podcast. So thanks a lot for that.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
So I have a question more about momentum. Because I listen to podcasts, I recorded a reel, just me playing ukulele of a Green Day song. And I got 5,000 hits, which is the most activity I've ever gotten. And it's I know it's a drop in the bucket, right? But I'm sitting here oh my gosh. And then I recorded another one, and it got 1,000. But I don't have the time to sit there and play rock songs. How do you balance time and momentum so that it, actually goes somewhere instead of, whew, that felt good?
I don't know.
When you figure it out, tell us, because
I'll be real and say people have been asking me how I'm doing, and my honest answer is I haven't been great, like most people. I just feel malaise and not a whole lot of motivation, and literally I've been looking forward to this conference because I knew it could be that thing that could inspire me. And all that to say, I think we all go through those moments where you build and you push, and then you don't. And then you got to rest and recharge. And it is kind of pushing the same rock up the same hill, but maybe each time you push it a little easier and a little further. So I don't know if you're feeling like, was that the question? Like how to not feel like it's dormant yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Chris and I were talking, we got here early and we're here Tuesday hanging out, and we were both talking like, you know, we do this podcast. We're still very active with music. We're in the trenches with all the artists, but we're feeling the same thing everybody else is too. And it's been a tough time. And so, yeah, it's been times where I'm like, I just can't think. Not even just a matter of time. It's like, there's times where I've had tons of time, but I've just felt creatively dead. And it's just heaviness. And it's like, that's okay. We deal with that as artists. And to me, that's something where it's like, sometimes you just need to push pause. But as far as like the time management, to me, the thing I struggle with is, you know, I'm old enough where we're on like our 4th social network now that I've done something and then they make it so it's impossible to reach your fans and then they go away and nobody uses it anymore. And to me, I look at it like, I can't do that again. And the reality of it is I don't have to. Your music career can be whatever you want. I don't think as artists we should feel pressure. If I don't post on TikTok every day, I'm a failure. No, you're a failure if you think that's what music is all about. If your music is about your expression, your creativity, and all that. So to me, do what you can. That's why I say like try lots of things. And usually if some things will click and work and it'll feel a little bit more seamless and easy. But you reminded me, I totally forgot about this. I mentioned that on Instagram, when I post on regular posts, which I like because I used to do photography and I like really nice pictures. And that's why I liked Instagram from the beginning. But the regular posts don't seem to get much traction at all anymore. But Reels do. And it's weird because I just randomly, like I said, I'm that guy that shows up to the gig with all the tripods and everyone's rolling their eyes. But I put my phone on this little tripod to the side of the stage when I knew we do this 70s medley, and it's just an awesome rock and roll moment in the set. And so I put like my camera, I was on the tripod on my phone down the stage, and I hit record before we started. And then I knew where the camera was, and I played to the camera some while the guitar solo happened, and I just sliced that exact moment out. And we were on a stage where the lights looked awesome. And I posted on Reels just the guitar solo, and I said, remember guitar solos? They were fun. And I instantly got an enormous amount of views on Reels. And I was like, okay, I looked, it was like, oh, 6,000 or something. I'm like, wow. Because I barely post on Reels. But then it died. And then like 4 days later, same thing again. I started getting all these likes. So it's weird how Reels works. That sometimes the algorithm's still pitching things.
That reminded me of one other thing though, is if you're feeling the pressure to constantly create new things, remember you don't have to, you can just return to what worked. So if that Green Day ukulele video got all that organic interest, maybe save up a little ad budget and just put money behind that video that's already proven to be a winner. Just make it go a lot further and reach new people instead of feeling like you got to just always reinvent something.
Or you can post that same video again on TikTok. That artist, Brittany Kellogg, when that song started working for her, she was doing that like 3 times a day. And the thing that was interesting to me to watch it is that as somebody who grew up with radio, and most younger people today have never probably listened to traditional radio or don't regularly, it's almost like it's become radio where, oh, there's that song I like by this artist. Oh, cool, I'll listen again. And then they post it later that afternoon. Oh, I get to hear it again. And thinking of it that way, that it's like, especially when you're thinking short form, it's less cumbersome. It's not like going back and watching an official music video again. Like no one's gonna do that 5-6 times a day, every day, but a little snippet like radio, sound bites in their day is different. We need to wrap up, and I would love to talk to all of you. I have to go introduce Tom Jackson in just a few minutes, and you got to check that out. Go to the live band makeover. It's amazing. I was here when the band was sound checking this morning. I'm a sucker for rock guitar with high harmonized choruses that just, I don't know, make you want to put your fist in the air. Anyway, these guys are great, but I hope I get to meet all of you over the course of the weekend. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for you. All of you have been listening to the podcast for years.
Thanks.
It really is all of you that been listening that keep us going, because, you know, sometimes like, does anyone care that we keep doing these podcasts? But we we love seeing you in person, and it's been a labor of love for us, and we never thought it would go this far, and so we appreciate you being there with us in the community.
Thanks, y'all.